Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, I am the Old Humble Guy. This is the Old Humble Distilling Company. This is a day in the life of a distiller. That's the last half of a day in the life of a distiller. I've been working all day, here and there, here at home and here at the distillery. We're not that one, this one. Nope, not that one, this one. Pick and pick. That we're working on these bottles. I've sealed them all up. That's my head. I've sealed all those bottles up. I'm about to get on the labeling end of it. So as you can see up here, we have passed 1,820 subscribers. We are marching towards 2,000 subscribers. When we get to 2,000 subscribers, I will be giving away a bottle of our Boomtown bourbon, our legendary Boomtown bourbon, along with a shot glass tote. You'll be doing a whole thing. It's gonna be kind of cool. I don't know how much time I'm going to have on this stream because my microphone box didn't charge up. Odd. But you know, hey, we'll see what we get, and we'll do what we can. So there we go. Let me switch over to the let's see, what else do I need? Video brought to you today by Boomtown Bourbon. Be awesome, drink Boomtown, whatever. Let's get on with the labeling. All right, so over here, I've got my label machine right up here. I need to install my labels onto the machine, and then get cracking on the actual labeling of the bottles. Tomorrow, our distributor is coming to pick up every single one of these. And then next week, I'm going to get to work on the next batch of bottles. So as of the end of next week, I'll actually be ahead of my orders, which is good. I like being ahead of my orders. It makes for less work, less panicked work, I guess. I can't find the damn screwdriver that I need. My screwdriver is missing. Great. Neat. That is a flathead. I need a Phillips head screwdriver, and that is a flathead screwdriver. I have 3 flathead screwdrivers. I have 1 screwdriver, which is a multi-screwdriver. Has all the bits and parts in the one handle. I don't know what I did with it. It's supposed to be. I mean, I know where it belongs. And it is not in that place right now, which is annoying. Annoying. Super duper annoying. Where is my screwdriver? Is it back here? Nope. Where? Huh. Trash bag. We will be returning with game nights soon. Not quite ready to return with game nights yet. Not quite ready to do all that stuff. Getting there. We're getting there. We're getting dangerously close to returning with all that. I will be scheduling my 2,000 subscriber special. I will be scheduling that for the end of March. Well, shoot. I guess I could use this. Oh, I don't need it. Great. That's awesome. It's a waste of time. Fun. I love wasting time. Okay. So this goes over the top. I think it goes over the top. Let's see here. Butt goes this way. Nope, it goes over the bottom. Yeah, or under the bottom. All right. Time to get us loaded up. Okay, over the bottom, up, over the spindle, over this spindle, right, under those, over this, under this, back up, oops, come on, sticks up through here. So for those of you who don't know or who are new and visiting for the first time, if that's even a thing, if you're watching this on a replay, which is how I assume you would be visiting for the first time, it's possible you're watching live for the first time. That's cool. Welcome to the party. I am the owner and operator of this here establishment, the Old Humble Distilling Company. We make whiskey. So to the guy who commented on my shorts, my short video about Crown Royal being a gatekeeper for whiskey, I'm not a gatekeeper at all. You can drink whatever shitty whiskey you want. I don't care. It is no sweat off my back whatsoever. You know, we have a distinct market of folks in the craft whiskey world. Some of those folks actually enjoy Crown and Jack's Double Oak and the special editions that come out from Crown and Jack and all those guys. And, you know, to be completely honest, more power to them. They are welcome to enjoy whatever crap it is they want to drink. I like people who enjoy their whiskey. Those are my kind of people. So you can take your gatekeeping comments and shove them right up your butt. Don't mind one bit. Okay. So we take this, which is our label machine. Fire it up. I take my bottle, like so. First, I take the label, get it primed up where it needs to be. Then I take my bottle. And kabam. We got a label. Then I do the other side. Like so. And kabam. We have two labels, although I think this needs to be a little bit this way. That's a little bit lower than I want it to be. Let's try this again. Get this out of the way. All right, so I've been watching videos about the Cannonball Run lately. It was a movie in the 70s, movie in the 80s, but it's like a real thing that Greg's Whiskey Guide. Cheers, Greg. Welcome to the party. I'm going to bring my phone over here. Yeah, I have been working a lot, Greg. I actually started this yesterday. My live stream yesterday, I started the process. It's a little bit lower than I want it to be. Let me look at my other bottles from last time, see if it's about the same height. No, it's about right. It's about the right height. Okay. Well, then I'm going to keep it how it is. We are properly calibrated. We just got to make sure we got the label centered when we put it on the bottle, and I'm satisfied. Okay. But yeah, we did the filling of the bottles, the bottle seals. We didn't have internet access this morning, so I was actually just jamming along, listening to music. Music that was on the radio today was Blues Traveler I had some Blues Traveler running, and actually I started with Ray Charles, his Genius Loves Company CD. But it was not a tone and pace that I wanted to listen to. So now I will have one more step with these bottles. I have to label, handwrite in the batch, barrel, time, all the stuff that I did for the first batch. But this batch will be 230402, not 230401. So, and I want to get that on there tonight when the temperature drops a little bit so that the paint will dry by the time the distributor comes to get the bottles. Yeah. But it's been a beautiful day. Mid 70s. It's going to drop back down into the 60s tonight, 50s and 60s tonight. Absolutely gorgeous day. What's really nice, when the weather's nice like this, the big kids come out to play recess. So the gym's been pretty busy all afternoon since about 3 o'clock. Not that they come over here and bother me or anything. They don't come and talk to me. But it's just nice hearing the sounds outside. Signs of life in the area. Signs of familiar life, not the signs of life that we were seeing a few weeks back when, Jesus Christ, there was a shopping cart left back here behind our water tanks. There was some food left in a bag next to our porta pot that I had out here for a few weeks. There was all kinds of like literal shit left in that pot. It reeked. I only had the crews coming out every couple of weeks to clean it because it was only me here. But man, they defiled that thing. Like sacrificed to some horrible god in there. Those were the signs of life that we had been seeing around here. So it's nice to see signs of life that are more civilized. And when the weather starts getting nice like it is now, the big kids come out to play. You know, grown-up recess across the parking lot. It's nice. Now, each one of these rows... What's up, Greg? This is my first ever gin distillery next week. New make, but they don't age it. And guess where it is? In Paris. I hope you mean Paris, France, and not Paris, Texas. Because if you're coming to Paris, Texas, and you're not coming all the way down to Humble to visit me, I'm going to be mad. But I also assume when people say Paris, they mean Paris, France. Because if you meant Paris, Texas, you'd say Paris, Texas. Because why on earth? Paris is Paris, you know? And since you're also in France, I assume it's Paris, France. This craft is a lot of new French distilleries now. Rather time, most of them. Oh, that's very cool. And I still haven't had Bastille whiskey. The only French whiskey that I've ever seen on the market. I haven't ever had it. I'd like to one day. I just need to get around to doing it. My guess is that it tastes like a single malt. Because with France's affinity for the Scots being an historical fact. Oh, I thought I saw something in my whiskey, but it's just a smudge on my plate there. There. That'll do. All right. Paris, France. France! I am from France. That's where the Coneheads are from. They're from Paris, France. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. I don't know if you're old enough to even know what that is. Anyway, so I've been watching videos about the Cannonball Run. The current record, is about. It's a road race. It's not really a road race. It's an endurance challenge from New York City to Los Angeles. Approximately 3,000 miles. The current record for that endurance challenge is 30 hours. Just a shade above 30 hours. Which makes the average speed just a shade above 110 miles an hour. Because it's really 2,900 miles. Not quite 3,000, but they've made several movies. Some of them terrible, some of them okay. Because that's kind of the American ethos from the 1970s was fast cars, car chase movies. Cannonball Run, Cannonball Run 2. Cannonball Run 2 is just absolutely fucking atrocious. But that was the ethos of the 70s. Everything was a car chase. Everything was a, Smokey and the Bandit, Convoy, Speedballs, Gumball Run, Cannonball Run, Coast to Coast. So damn many movies that were just a 90-minute car chase. But the thing about Cannonball and Cannonball Run 2 was that it was basically a showcase of a bunch of retired... I don't know if they were retired, but they were like cinema legends. Dom DeLuise, Tom Selleck, not Tom Selleck, Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise, all these guys who like had one scene, one line, one scene, in and out. They were just, they were literally there to get their face on the screen, their name on a movie, help sell the movie, help stay relevant, continue getting those SAG credits, whatever. Just an all-around, just terrible movie. But that said, it would be cool to make that drive, but do it in a classic car. And by classic, I mean like a 19-teens old Model A or Model T. An old early 20th century car. Like recreate the original Cannonball Run before it was called the Cannonball Run. It took this guy 30 days to cross the country. Yes, obviously, pre-highway system, pre-paved roads, when he's just kind of going on a patchwork system of roads that have been cobbled together from various states and municipalities. I think it'd be cool. Or, shit for that matter, ride a bike. The Cannonball Run on a bicycle. Not a motorcycle, bicycle. Do 100 miles a day? Between 75 and 100 miles a day? That would take 30 days. What you saying, Greg? Brienne, not bad, but not very whiskey. Coming across as a bit artificial. If you want to feel red, try an Amoric Glen Eyre. Okay. Or Edu, possibly the only whiskey in the world that's made of buckwheat. Ooh, buckwheat whiskey. That sounds interesting. That sounds like something I ain't never heard of anything like that. That sounds like it's something. That sounds neat. Okay, I really like the sideways labels. I think my next batch of labels is vertical again, but I think I really want to do them sideways from here on out. I really like this setup. I really do. It rolls them on nice and smooth, and the roller kind of pushes them onto the bottle. They're not, they're kind of off a little bit left and right, but that's partly just takes practice on my part to get them squared away properly. That one's a little bit too far to the right. That one's dead on center. Ah. I called my senator today to pick on him a little bit. I feel so sorry for the people who work in Ted Cruz's office. Like, they have to work for a lying, sniveling weasel of a human being. And I say human being loosely. A lying, sniveling weasel of a man who will lie, and lie some more. And then when his constituents, like me, call up, I mean, I'm fairly polite to those poor people because I know they're working, you know, they're there, they're working, it's their job, whatever. Occasionally I tell them, man, I feel sorry for you. You got to work in this office. You got to listen to people calling up constantly and questioning your boss's integrity and asking questions that you don't have answers to because he's lying to y'all too, and y'all have to lie on his behalf. I really feel sorry for you. I mean, I get it. You need a job. People need to work. Someone needs to fill the spot in these offices. But I really wish the political climate in Texas was such that you didn't have to work for such a lying, sniveling piece of shit. And most of the time, they come back with it as an honor and privilege to work in. I mean, like, yeah, I know it's being recorded. That's fine, dude. Whatever. You're not fooling anybody. But with all the revelations coming out of Fox News that they knew the election fraud in 2022 or 2020 was a lie. They knew it was a lie. They were reporting the lie. And they knew it was counterfactual. And then, when Ted Cruz comes out and he's like, well, we're really concerned about the reports of this. Like, dude, you knew it was a fucking lie too. Either you knew it was a lie or you were stupid. I mean, which would you rather your constituents believe? That you're stupid or that you're a liar? I mean, we already believe you're a liar. Just, admit you were wrong and you change your stand. Admit it was a mistake to buy into the stupid conspiracy theory shit. Just admit it. Change your statement from, on further review of the facts, we were misled. The election was legitimate, blah, blah, blah. Just come out and say it. But his office says there are no plans at the moment to release a new statement. He's standing by what he said in March of 2020. Like, all right, well, Godspeed. I mean, he's not stupid. He was smart enough to pick Republican politics when his family moved from Canada. He was smart enough to drop his Canadian citizenship when he ran for president. Anyway, They Live by Carpenter. The cult one, if you ask me. They Live. I don't know if They Live. I'm not familiar with that one. I did watch a movie today. It was a British movie called The Hunted. About a group of kids that break into a house, some manor in England. They get caught breaking into the house, so the very racist manor owners decide to hunt them for sport. It was an okay movie. It was good. It wasn't great. It was good. It passed the time while I did work at home. So part of my day, this part of my day you don't see, is when I'm at home. Uh, I do computer work, and most of the time in the morning I'll do computer work, check emails, answer emails, do paperwork, stuff like that. Then I'll take a little bit of downtime, play some Fortnite, uh, eat some lunch, um, or just take a nap and eat some lunch. And then I'll load up, come up in the office, up into here to the shop, and do some work in here. And I've been here since probably 12:30 or so. I had to go by FedEx, make a delivery. Had to go by. I need to go by UPS and the Postal Service in the next 2 days because I've got 2 boxes. Where are they at? I've got 2 boxes that need to. Oh, over there on my table. I've got 2 boxes that need to be shipped out. One's going all the way over to Aberdeen, Scotland. Not a small price. And then Friday, I've got to drive to Austin and back to deliver some bottles for a competition because I didn't get those in the mail in time to arrive at their destination before the 10th. So I have to hand deliver those bottles. But first things first, I need to get this order finished for my distributor to come and pick it up tomorrow. So that's the stuff you don't like. I pack in a full day most of the time. It's 1:11 a.m. It won't stay long. Jesus. Well, I'm glad you joined me. I do appreciate it. 2 Edu whiskeys home, and last year they released the oldest French whiskey ever, which was only 21 years. Very nice. First ever whiskey was distilled here in 1983 by another distillery. Interesting. I think a lot of casks go to age. They needed cash, so bottle almost everything under 8 years old. It did changes in the 2000s. Yeah, I know exactly what that. I mean, my stuff ages 6 to 9 months, but I use 5-gallon casks to get it done. And it's interesting to see the color difference in this batch and the last batch that I had. The last batch I had in for 6 months. Yeah, it's speeding up. I'm getting more volume going out the door as my casks come to age. We got the 4-wheelers out and about right now. The volume's picking up as my casks are coming of age and turning around. I've got the last 10 casks were filled up and done, but I'm at the end of this year. I'm hoping to be able to start putting stuff in larger barrels and putting stuff up for a little bit longer time. To have my first straight bourbons going out the door sometime in the next couple of years, but I mean, I've got a lot of stuff that needs to get done in the next 6 months. I mean, shit, it's already March, mid-March at that. It's almost. It's gonna be the 10th at the end of this week. Next week we're going on spring break. I mean, Jesus Christ. And I texted my distributor and said I'll have whiskey available on Tuesday, but I need to change that to Thursday because I won't even be here on Tuesday. Yeesh. Yeah, but anyway, the Cannonball Run. I think it'd be fun to do that. To take a stab at it, but not like in a modern muscle car. I mean, shit, modern muscle cars can do that. That's easy. Staying awake for 36 hours. That's not hard to do. Making a drive from New York to LA in 48 hours. I mean, 48 hours would be basically driving the speed limit across the country. That's not hard to do at all. Don't stop for bathroom breaks. Don't stop for gas. Or at least don't make extended stops for gas. I mean, Jesus, the speed limit through half the country, or most of the country, 9/10 of the country, the speed limit's 70 or higher. Outside of major metro areas, most major metro areas are 75, 76, between 55 and 70 miles an hour. I mean, it shouldn't take more than 2 days to drive from New York to LA if you're driving and not fucking around and stopping every 30 minutes for, bathroom breaks, McDonald's, ice cream sandwiches, sightseeing, shutting it down for the night, staying at a Motel 6, or if you're fancy, staying in a Motel 1 or 2, because 1 or 2 being, never mind. But yeah, I kind of think that'd be fun. I mean, I kind of enjoy my family's embrace of the road trip ethic, of taking in the sights where the journey is as important as the destination. I really do. The road warrior notion of getting in the car and traveling as far as you can, as fast as you can. Doesn't appeal to me as much as it used to when I was a kid. When the whole point of being on vacation was being on vacation. Get to the vacation point, right? That was the whole point of it. We're going to spend time at the lake. So let's get to the lake. We're going to leave Friday night. We're going to leave Friday night so we can wake up on Saturday morning at the lake. But now, I don't so much mind. Like we'll schedule time at the lake. We'll get there Saturday afternoon. That's fine. Let's leave there Saturday morning. Let's leave Saturday morning. Let's take the trip. Let's stop. Let's have lunch on the road. Let's go to Cracker Barrel, as is our tradition, to have a mid-priced, mid-grade breakfast on the road. Get to the place, unpack, have a nice dinner, arrival meal, celebrate our safe arrival, go for a hike, then pack it in and chill out for the night, wake up early, go do a thing. Yeah, it's a great relaxed way of doing things that we do now. Unlike I did when I was a kid, when it was like, go, 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 go. On the road and 2 in the morning, showing up at the place at 3 in the morning, exhausted, fall asleep, wake up. I mean, it has its charm. You wake up, you take in a lungful of clean country air. And then go walk down by the river and bathe. Oh, it's great. But now, we pack all the kids into the car, turn on a movie after about 20. Well, we go to our first destination, which is lunch or dinner, whatever. The restaurant. First destination is food. Next destination. After that, we turn on the movie. Whatever's on tap. I have listened to so many damn movies in the back of that car. I can quote them because I've listened to them so many fucking times. Harry Potter, the whole saga. Listened to it. Haven't really watched it. The last 2 movies I always sleep through unless I'm driving and I listen to it. They're not fun to listen to because there's a whole lot of action in the last 2 movies. There are some movies that are better to listen to than others. Marvel movies are terrible to listen to because they are so little dialogue and so much action. Back to the Future is a great movie to listen to because there's so much dialogue. There's action, but there's a lot of dialogue too. And the performances are so damn vivid, you can pretty much see the performance from the words and action. Artists such as, I tell you, maybe I'm initially a pain. Yeah, they've got a lot of stuff in the countryside out there in Europe that's just fun to. I mean, from what I've seen from my travel log interaction with Europe through the Tour de France. That's pretty much my introduction to European traveling, is seeing the stuff on the countryside during the Tour de France. Like, that's kind of cool. They got some of that stuff around here too. It's just not as prominent and prevalent. Parisian luxury is not to have a car. Too expensive, too hard to find a place. Oh, yeah. And see, here in the U.S., well, Houston specifically, but in the U.S. in general, yeah, you've got a car. New York City, you can probably get by without having a car. But here in Houston, in Texas, in the mega cities that have grown up since, oof, it's way off center there. Can you see that? Look at how off center that is. Yeah, fuck that one up. I gotta fix that. The modern mega cities, yeah, you got to have a car. They're designed to have cars. They grew up with the assumption that you're going to have a car. The car has ruined the big city. It's not a human scale anymore. It's not a collection of human scale neighborhoods. It's a giant megalithic construction that what you the Hudson River Valley. Hudson is another good movie. The one about the car manufacturer. America loves their cars. For some reason, I'm getting a wrinkle on the back label only, but not the front. Ugh. I am not wearing leggings or capris. I am wearing a pair of sweatpants that I've rolled up over my calves. It's comfortable right now, but there's no breeze, so it's like this dead, humid air right now. It's not 100% comfortable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So if you'll notice, I've got rows of 12, and then I've got 8 rows of 13, because I have 3/4 of a case here, more than I needed. I was hoping my distributor would say, give me 22 cases, and I would make an extra 4 bottles. But they said 20, so I've got an extra case left over from this bottling run, a case and 8. So I'll transfer that case and 8 to the distillery to sell it here over the next few weeks. But yeah, that's why I'm loading up rows of 13 here. I've got 8 rows of 13 that I'm going to do, and then I'll do rows of 12 for the rest of the run. But that's giving me a bit more of an opening as I go through to work with. My opening's widening up slowly, but it'll collapse back in again when I get down to this end. And then the next thing I have to do is put the info on the back of the bottle back here. The info on the back of the bottle back here, where it shows a barrel, time, and batch number. Barrel, time, aged, and batch number. That shouldn't take me more than a few minutes, more than a half, or an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'll be done with this tonight, and then tomorrow I'll come in the morning and box everything up. I need to print out my labels. Print out my labels. I need to run to Office Depot, do the printout, because I don't like using my inkjet printer because it costs money. It's actually cheaper to do the printouts at Office Depot with whatchamacallit, with our printers. But the humidity here is getting to the bottles. I'm beginning to see a little condensation in the bottle, so I'm worried about the label's sticking. But once it cools down just a bit, the humidity will come right out of the air. Maybe I'll turn the fan on, get it cleaned up. You get that air moving, get the condensation out of it, or that condensate out. Tooltown Spirits Distillery in Morgan Hudson Valley was built, but at the time it didn't even start. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Very, very cool. Well, if you do make it down to Texas at some point, there is a very cool little industry that's grown up around the state. The distilleries aren't close to each other by any stretch of the imagination. They are not close. You can do the Houston area, the Austin area, the Dallas and Waco area. I mean, shit, the ones in Dallas and the ones in Waco are 2 hours apart, all by themselves. But we have a cool little whiskey trail through the state of Texas. It's just spread out. It's not like the one in Kentucky where everything's within a couple of hours of each other, or even the wine country trail here in Texas where everything's within. You can do a stagger through the wine country here in Texas, and everything will be within a couple of hours from the first one to the last one. Visit 4 or 5 wineries, but you can pop into Houston and visit easily 3 or 4 distilleries in the area over the course of a couple of days. Because if you go to one, like me, I'm an hour and a half away from the next closest distillery that I know of that's open to the public. Well, I have one that's about 30 minutes from me, but it's not open to the public. You got to schedule a private tour ahead of time to make sure you can go. There we go. I think I solved the little wrinkle problem. Yeah. But if you want to go to the granddaddy of distilleries in High, Texas, that's an hour and a half from me. If you want to go to Shire Distilling, that's an hour from me in Brookshire. If you want to go to hell, MKT Distillery's an hour away from me. It's on the west side of Houston, and it's an hour away from me. That one's still in Houston. Technically, it's Katy, Texas, but Katy's part of Houston. Actually, no, Katy isn't part of Houston. Katy is a bedroom community on the west side of Houston. If I make it to the U.S., which I doubt is, Javosic is still used here in visit Texas. I know I have at least 3 distilleries. Yeah, me and Balcones. Balcones is up in Waco. That is a 3.5-hour trip. So that's what I'm talking about. We got a bunch of distilleries. They're just all spread out. Texas is a big damn place. Iron Root, I believe, is up in Dallas. I think. I don't know where Iron Root is. I think it's up in Dallas. Can't see her. She was a friend of the U.S. She was a friend of the U.S. friend who passed away years ago. Oh, well, that sucks. Iron Root Distillery. I believe Iron Root Distillery is in Dallas. Denison. Yeah, Denison, Texas is near Dallas, if I recall. That is north of Dallas. So they're on the border with they're up on the border with Oklahoma, it looks. So they are yeah, we're talking Um, that's probably a 6-hour trip. Balcones is 3 hours. So, you know, that's a linear trip. You go from here, because you'd come in Intercontinental Airport, because, you know, you're not a savage. Come into Intercontinental Airport, come visit me, and then go north to Balcones, and then keep going north to Denison, and then travel out. Head back down to Dallas, hop a plane, and get out. That's how it'd have to be, unless you had other plans. But each of those trips is like a day, because I'm pretty sure Denison is it looked like it was about 3 hours away from Waco, being up there on the north side of Dallas. And see, Texas is the kind of place where you can be 3 hours from Houston and 3 hours from Denison, but only like 5 hours from Houston. You know, two trips of 3 hours does not equal a 6-hour distance. Time and space have no meaning in Texas, because we are time and space. Roughly halfway through. I wish I could tell you that what I do is exciting. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8. So now I'm getting into the 12 count rows. As evidenced by this row being finished and 4 bottles being stacked up. So it's those 4 plus these 8. And then we have an even 12 going the whole way. And I always stack my bottles in rows of 12 until I get to the end of my runs, because I need to know how many cases I have. And if I could just count the rows that I have, then, you know, they're all rows of 12. And then I'll start adding bottles to the end of the rows. So I start with a row of 12, but only at the end of the bottling runs do I make them 13, 14, 15 rows long. And even then, I'll add 12 at a time. So I'll go 12, 12, and then 12, 12 to keep with the number, so that I don't lose count, so I can easily just reference it and see how much I've got going. That's a distiller trick that I invented myself. Actually, I don't know if I invented it. Probably independently invented by several distillers at the same time. I mean, if we were a real operation and not some teeny tiny Mickey Mouse YouTube operation, I would have a machine do all this stuff, but we babies. We just little. And for the foreseeable future, this is going to be a hand job, a job performed by one individual by hand. A hand job. So for 12 years, the Old Humble Distilling Company did bottling for hand jobs. Will work for hand job. That's just sad. That's like the worst kind of job, you know? Like, if your girlfriend's giving you a hand job, I mean, like, you could do that yourself and probably do it better. Be completely honest. You know, I mean, there's something to be said about somebody else doing it, you know, obviously, but like, seriously. I don't need you here to do that. My back isn't as bendy. Anyway, see that's the question. That's the tribute. That's the question that Match.com should be asking, or Tinder or whatever. If you could do it, if you were flexible enough, would you give yourself? Would you suck your own? Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, almost every single guy, they wouldn't admit it. No guy would admit it, but almost every single guy would say yes if they were being honest. Anyway, anywho, where's it going? That's what she said. What is your favorite non-U.S. whiskey? My favorite non-U.S. whiskey. I don't have a favorite non-U.S. whiskey. I mean, I like Scotch. In general, I like the category, but there's not a specific Scotch that I drink. I don't have a specific go-to Scotch. I like several different Scotches. You know, I like Lafroig. I like the Glens. I like, they got like 1,000 different Glens. Uh, um, I've really become a fan of rice whiskey from Japan, Japanese rice whiskey, because it tastes like Scotch and it's different. I just can't really afford it because it's expensive, super duper expensive. But that also gives me the inspiration to make a Texas rice whiskey rather than do a single malt. Rather than do a Texas single malt and put it into a crowded category competing with Irish or Scottish Scotch, which is a redundant statement, I know. Rather than putting it in a category competing a Texas single malt competing with Scotch and Balcones and all these other American single malts, I think I'd just do a rice whiskey, sell it for $50, $20 cheaper than you can buy a Japanese rice whiskey. A Texas original rice whiskey. I mean, that's a pretty fucking awesome deal. Long video, 4 generations of 10 years spring break. Oh, now that's something that I really like. The idea. I've done that before. I had a whiskey club that I used to host called the Order of Whiskey Nights. And we would get together and sample various whiskeys. And we would have a theme on each night. It was kind of a charity fundraiser. We'd do a theme on each night. The idea was doing a fundraiser for a mission trip that I was planning on going on that I ended up not being able to go on because my brother decided he wanted to get married to some girl. She's a lovely lady, Audrey. We love you. But we did that one night. We did one distillery, 5 ages, or 4 ages from one distillery. I can't remember the distillery's name, but it was a Scotch. It was like a 6-year, 7-year, or 6-year, 8-year, 11-year, 12, 13-year. Something like that. 4 different ages from the same distillery. It wasn't 4 different generations of the same age. But it was very fascinating to see that the best one of the bunch was not the consensus best one of the bunch. Everybody thought a different one was better than another, but it was like, I think it was the one that everybody agreed was. Uh, yeah, it may not have been the number one pick, but it was like number one or two. We like did ranked voting, I think is how we did it. So if one didn't have a clear majority, then your second choice got the points, that sort of thing. We went on to number twos and number threes. But it wasn't the one that was aged the longest. I think it was the second youngest, because the third oldest, or the second oldest was it was finished with a sherry cask or something like that. It had a second cask finish to it, and nobody liked the second cask finish. It gave it an off. It gave it too unusual of a flavor. Nobody liked it. So it's not just me. It's not just me hating on port. Everybody hates port. Port's garbage. Oh, I forgot to put a front label on that one. I did have a bottle once escape the distillery without a back label. I was doing a tasting, and the bottle didn't have a back label. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whoops. Whiskey Wars is in the house. Cheers, Whiskey Wars. Welcome to the party. I'm labeling up our Boomtown bourbon. This is how a micro distillery does their work. I have one more step after this of writing the information on the back of the label for batch and age and time in the barrel. Or batch, barrel size, and time in the barrel. This will be batch 042302. The second release of our fourth batch, released in 2023. And it's the second release from the distillery. It's great to do verticals, top indeed, but even more if cask recipes are the same. But yeah, and that's the thing. It's just cool to see what they do. That's one of the neat things about Scotch. You get one distillery that does a bunch of cool different things under the same label, versus the American bourbon distilleries where they can just, I don't know. It seems like a lot of the distilleries just have different labels with the same recipe, just a different label. They don't. You have 19 different labels coming out of Buffalo Trace, and the whiskey's not drastically different. It doesn't taste drastically different. It's aged in the same climate, with the same barrels, with the same water, and the recipe is 80% identical to everything else. It's 60% corn, 55% corn, 65% corn, 20% rye, 22% rye, 15% rye. There's not a lot of variation. And if it gets 60% of its flavor from the barrel and 100% of its color from the barrel, like if the barrel is set, if it's this barrel and this barrel, you're not getting a lot of variation in flavor. 60% of your flavor is right here in the same rack house, or that rack house down the street. It's like, 15 miles away. They could hear you yell in this rack house. You don't need a phone. You just holler out to Earl. Go, hey, Earl, what we got going on for dinner? And he's like, right there, Hey, Shelly, what are we doing tonight? We going to see a movie? She's like, yeah, we going to see a movie. All right. And there's just not a lot of opportunity for variation. But then, you go to this is why I loved Scotch when I was in my whiskey infancy, because scotches tasted, every damn time I got a bottle of scotch, it tasted different. Every damn time I got a bottle of bourbon, it tasted kind of like the last bottle of bourbon I had. There wasn't a lot of variation to my bottles of bourbon until I went to that one tasting and discovered that if you did bourbon, they could do bourbon, in different areas of the country and make bourbons that tasted different. And I was like, holy shit. And when you talk about the mechanics of it, it makes sense. If 60% of your flavor comes from the barrel, and that flavor that comes from the barrel has to do with the interaction of the whiskey in the barrel, well, it makes sense because your climate affects the interaction with that barrel. Y'all are lighting up chat, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, Whiskey War, thank you very much for reminding people to do the things that YouTubers are supposed to remind people of. I don't think about doing that. I'm reminded on a constant basis that I am a distiller with a YouTube channel, not a YouTuber with a distillery. And it is good to have people like you in chat reminding people to do the things that I don't think to remind people to do. I got 1,820 subscribers, and I do 2 or 3 shorts, 6 or 10 shorts a week. And never once do I remind people to subscribe and hit the like button. So thank you. I appreciate it. My last 3 shorts were about Crown. I don't know if y'all have seen them, but people have opinions, and it's funny as hell. They either hate it or they love it. And, far be it from me to tell you what to drink. If you want to drink gutter water, drink gutter water. I don't give a shit. But don't fool yourself into thinking that your gutter water is anything other than gutter water. And if you like gutter water, own it. Embrace it. I drink shitty beer, and I'm happy to do it. I like Miller High Life. I like Lone Star. I like yellow, light beer because it's hot in Texas, by God. And I don't need to have a heavy stout sitting in my gut while it's 112 degrees outside. The last thing I want to do after I mow the yard, last thing I want to do is mow the yard, but last thing I want to do after mowing the lawn or working in here in 100-degree temperatures, the last thing I want to do is drink a fucking stout. Someone's calling me from a 281 number. I don't know what that number is. I'm going to have to answer it. Old Humble, this is Joe. Jessica with tax relief services. I don't need tax relief services, but thanks, Jessica. Where are we at? Yeah, finishing and ruin whiskey. Yeah. Spring break with no back label. Thoughts on now Cabernet finishes I kind of like. I think Cabernet, red wines, Cabernets, wines and whiskeys go together pretty. I don't like ports. I don't like port. I don't like sherry. I don't like brandy. Well, I take that back. I haven't had a lot of brandies that I like. I don't know if it's because I don't like brandy or if it's because I just haven't found a brandy that I like. So if you take your whiskey and put it in one of those barrels, I don't like it. I don't like the finish. But if you take it and put it in a Cabernet or a red wine or even a white wine, if it's the right whiskey with a white wine, it tastes really good. Sauvignon. There's a lot of wines that get finished in whiskey barrels as well. Damn it, I'm getting this bubble back in here and it's pissing me off. There's a lot of wines that get finished in whiskey barrels. And I find that to be quite delightful. If it's the right flavor wine finishing in that whiskey barrel, you get a good melding of flavors there. But if it's, they got to be the right flavors mixing together. If they're not the right flavors, you've done ruined a whole batch of whiskey and a whole batch of wine. So, but there's people who like it, and if there's people that like it and people that buy it, that's all that matters. The definition of a good whiskey, I've always said this, the definition of a good whiskey, same as the definition of a good wine. Do you like it? There you go. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if some dumb blowhard on the internet thinks you paid too much for that whiskey. It doesn't matter if some dumb blowhard on the internet thinks your whiskey is rot gut. It doesn't matter. Do you like it? Well, there you go. That is the definition of a good whiskey. Now, there are objectively bad whiskeys that people like. There are people who absolutely love, $10 rot gut. They swear by it. They say, this whiskey is just as good as anything else. This whiskey is just as good as Stag or Evan Williams or Boomtown Bourbon. This whiskey is just as good. They are wrong. It is demonstrably not as good, but you like it, so that's all that matters. Like for their $10, they want to buy that, that's fine. They don't want to spend $40 on a bottle of whiskey. They don't want to spend $60 on a bottle of whiskey. That's fine. I talked to a guy the other day when I was at a whiskey fest, street festival, and I'm doing samples, and I'm talking to the crowd, and he's like, no, I'll stick with my, whatever, Jim Beam, whatever rot gut shit he drink. He's like, I'll stick with that. I'm like, yeah, it's no problem. You do it. And the only problem with cheap whiskey is that you pay for it every damn time you drink it. He's like, yeah, but it's still. I'm like, yeah, you're making a math. It's. I'm not gonna argue with you. Drink whatever you want, dude. But don't sit there and fucking tell me that is as good as my whiskey, because I know better. I've had it. You're not fooling me. Don't piss in my mouth and call it champagne. I was born on a day, but I wasn't born yesterday. In fact, I probably was born at night. I can't remember when I was born. I was really young back then. I don't remember when I was born. What time of day, rather. I mean, I know when I was born. I was born in June. But I don't know, what time of day. I had a lot of stuff going on that day. So I didn't really pay, and I didn't know how to tell time. So I didn't really check the clock when I was born to see what time I was born, just so that I could entertain some fucking YouTube people. Y'all are just going to have to accept that I was born on a day. And that's how you answer questions that nobody's asking. It's hit or miss, if you ask me, with wine casks. Whiskey and bottle, yeah. Now, if you have a well-aged whiskey already, and you put it in a wine cask, you're going to get just a hint of that final flavor. If it's a young whiskey and you put it in that wine cask, you're going to get a lot of flavor from the wine. It really does depend on when it goes into the wine cask and how it gets treated. If it's 2 years in a whiskey barrel and then 2 years in a wine cask, you're going to get a lot of wine flavor. But if it's like 4 years in a whiskey barrel and 1 year in a wine cask, you're going to have a lot of whiskey flavor. I mean, it really does depend on how it's done. But it also, better ingredients, better pizza, right? It also depends on, it depends on how the whiskey was done. It depends on how the wine was done. It depends on a lot of stuff. But that's one of the really cool things about the micro distilling boom and the golden age of whiskey that we live in right now, that, small distilleries like us, we can try that stuff. Buffalo Trace, Beam, those guys, they can't try 100 case runs. They can't try shit like that. I mean, I would love to do I would love it if some distributor said, hey, we want to buy 100 cases of some experimental whiskey you're thinking about doing. I'd be like, shit, yeah. I'd do 100 cases of a whiskey. Yeah, come on, boy. Pay you half up front and half when I deliver. How's that sound? Yeehaw. You want to take my shit and go put it somewhere? I'm down. Let's do it. Sorry, I know I'm behind on chat, but I'm really trying to get through this so I can turn on the fan and not get too sweaty. We're getting close to dinner time for me. Single malt category, champagne to be yes, the High Life. That's my. It really is. I have a half case of High Life in my refrigerator almost at all times, because at the end of a long day, that's what I like to have. I like to, if I'm not having a whiskey, if I'm not having a whiskey, I'm probably having a High Life or a Lone Star. I like my light color Pilsner beers. Now, I don't like light flavored Pilsner beers. Those beers have good flavor. I don't like light beers. I don't think they have enough flavor. I don't think they have enough beer flavor, to be quite honest. And I don't like when Miller Lite over hops their beer. It just tastes gross. I don't like hops. I don't like hops as much as I like beer. And if you over hop your beer, I don't really want to drink it. So I'm not a pale ale fan. I don't drink IPAs. Don't drink APAs. Just not a big fan of pale ales in general because they're so over hopped and overhyped. And that's oddly what a lot of microbreweries, craft breweries, focus their energy on. And it's so disappointing when you go into a microbrew, a local brewery, and they're like, yeah, we got 9 different types of IPA. Like, do you have any Pilsners? No. Do you have any ales? No. Do you have anything other than an IPA? No, but we have 9 IPAs. Fuck. I have water, I guess. Ugh. Do you have a toilet brush that I can scrub that shit out of my mouth with? Ugh. But again, some people like that shit. More power to them. Don't fucking tell me it's good. I know better. I've had it. Blade and Bow. Yeah, there's another one. I think, isn't Blade and Bow here in Texas? That does that with the finishing? Or are they Kentucky brand? I don't. I've been so out of touch with the Texas brands, and I've been so busy and buried, being a one-man shop. I don't get to pay attention to the stuff that's going on around the country and around the state like I'd like to. Que sera, sera. Come on. There we go. I am worried about having enough labels to get through my next run of whiskey over the weekend. But my next batch of labels is coming, and I'm super duper excited because they're redesigned labels. They're redesigned labels, easier to see off the shelf, and my special edition blackout labels are en route. So I'm super duper excited about that. So my next release is going to be the blackout bourbon. My next special release will be the blackout bourbon label, and then after that we'll have the Boomtown release. All right, Greg, get to bed. Cheers, my man. Last baby born October 3rd, full moon 2357. That's kind of funny. For beers finished in whiskey cask. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I have a bottle of wine made here in Texas by a home wine maker, It was actually finished in one of my barrels, and I've been holding on to it. I haven't had it yet. He came by, he brought me a bottle. I haven't had it yet. I need to have it and post up on my social medias that it, because he had brought me some with him, and then he left a bottle for me. So I need to post. I know it tastes delicious. I just haven't had it because I've been waiting on a fairly special occasion to enjoy it with my lovely wife. But I also know that Tuesday's a special occasion because it's Tuesday. You know, there's whiskey cabinets that are full of untapped whiskeys because people were waiting on special occasions and overlooked all the little miracles that happen every fucking day of their life. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Night, Greg. Stout or standard beer. See, and when it comes to beers, I mean, it's hot in Texas, man. It is fucking hot here. And, you know, you're drinking, I don't mind a stout. I like stouts, I really do. But there's only like 2 months out of the year that this stout really tastes good in Texas. When it's cold outside, you know, you have that thick, meaty flavor to it. I like the stout, it's good steak, but not, you know, not when it's 150 degrees. Jesus Christ. It's hot outside. I mean, if it's that hot, I'm gonna have wine with my steak. Not like go on a hike, sit down after a hike around a campfire, and you're exhausted and all your muscles are tired, and you want to get a good night's sleep, and you want to have a gut bomb with a stout. Ugh. Okay. I will happily knock off a half a bottle of whiskey. Happily knock off half a bottle of whiskey. There's more alcohol and a whole lot less heft to that. Where are we at? Square tables in the house. Cheers. Blade and Bowes, Kentucky. Okay, gotcha. Triple IPAs. Square tables in the house. Cheers, square table. My mic is getting interference. Okay, let me switch. Well, I am running low on my battery as well. There's not much I can do about it. It's just going to be what it is. I may have another hour of time left on my microphone, and then we'll just go dark. Or I guess I could bring my microphone over here, because I do have my tabletop that I could set my tabletop up. When my microphone dies, I'll get my tabletop in, because I should be able to sit down with my microphone on the table and sign these bottles, each one by hand, denoting barrel size, time in the barrel, and batch number. Each one by hand. And this is 240 bottles. The first batch of legendary Boomtown bourbon that came out this year, 04-2301, that was 171 bottles. This is 252, 260 bottles. So I would absolutely be up for Distiller's Night on Whiskey Wars. Give me a day and time, and I will confirm my availability. Absolutely up for it. 100%. And I'm also giving away a bottle of whiskey at the end of this month for our 2,000 subscriber special. I haven't posted up the details of the show yet because I haven't gotten the thumbnail done. But I'm working out the details. I'll give away a bottle of whiskey, shot glass tote, pictures of which I've posted up on my Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, but I have not posted up here on the YouTubes. But I will be giving away that for our 2,000 subscriber special. Don't know what the details of the giveaway will be yet. Probably, I don't know. We'll figure it out. And, we'll have 6 people come on the show, probably. 6 people show up and chat. So you'll probably have a 15% chance of winning it. Vanessa Kitty's in the house. Cheers, Vanessa. I'm going to drink my mini Miller High Life. Yep. It's a tornado warning. Oh, a tornado attacking my mic. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's... Oh, I might be just overclocking my... Might be just... I see it redlining. That's interesting. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know. It's interesting. It's very weird. I do need to get my microphone. I've noticed that this microphone, the lapel mic, is getting a little staticky. I think it spent a little bit too much time in my backpack. So the peg is a little bit jiggly and wiggly. Hi, Vanessa Kitty. Welcome to the party. Wiggly jumbly. So I started the night talking about the Cannonball Run. And how I think it would be really cool to recreate a Cannonball Run. The current record is 30 hours to go from New York to LA. And I think that'd be kind of cool. I mean, I don't want to set a record. That's going up. I'm too old and responsible for that shit. But the second person to ever make the trip, the first person to make the trip did it in 30 days. The second person to ever make an official recorded Cannonball Run from New York to LA did it in 48 hours. Like the third person to do it did it in 40 hours. And that was the first people to actually race across the country. So I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun, but I was also saying that like my current iteration of road trips, the way we do road trips now, I really, really enjoy, because we usually don't go more than 250 miles in a day. And that's in like 8 hours of driving. We start driving around 9 or 10 in the morning. We usually don't go, between 250 and 500 miles in a day. We don't usually go, it's usually closer to 250 because we stop, we have picnics, we see landmarks. We took pictures with the world's largest shovel, which is outside of a shovel factory. They commissioned the world's largest shovel. It's outside of a shovel factory up in Oklahoma, I believe. We take random left turns. We got lost in a national grassland, which was supposed to have a visitor center, but it turned out it was just some dude's farmhouse. And we're lucky we didn't get shot at, because we literally pulled up on this guy's front lawn. And he was standing out there, and we just kind of waved, and he waved back, and I rolled down the window and said, "Sorry, wrong turn." He said, he just kind of nodded. and we turned and left. It was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, we usually, we traveled to Mount Rushmore, and most people can make it to Mount Rushmore in a day. They hit the road, they make it in a day. We took 3 days to go to Mount Rushmore. Custer, South Dakota is where it's at. We got there in about 3 days. But yeah, you can go there in a day. It's easy. Leave at night, get there in the morning. You can just blast your way up there. But we went through Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, Nebraska, and then finally South Dakota. And we saw 1, 2, 3, 4, I think we saw like 6 national parks along the way. And then on the way home, we went over to Wyoming for Devil's Tower. And the KOA outside of Devil's Tower is the same land where they did most of the filming of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And on that KOA, every night they show that movie in their clubhouse. So we didn't go to it, but we did pull out the telescope and do some stargazing while at that KOA, which is the sort of thing that you don't do when you are just cannonballing it straight up from one place to the other, where the destination is the point and not the trip. We really do enjoy the trip. And while it would be fun to blast across the country in 36 hours, or 48 hours, between 36 and 48, I wouldn't want to do it in less than 36, because then you're pushing like 100 miles an hour for the whole trip. I wouldn't want to do it with my family. Because, I mean, what fun is that? Sitting in the back seat of a minivan going 85 miles an hour across country. I mean, there's no reason to do it, right? You're 11, 12 years old. You're sitting in the back of a van. There's no reason to do it, just to say you did it. And he didn't do anything. He just sat back there and watched movies and slept for the whole damn trip. That, to me, is not a road trip. That, to me, is traveling. I mean, that you could do in an airplane, And hell, an airplane's faster. Anyway, what are we talking about? Fill out the front row. Oh. Okay, so I mentioned this earlier. My rows are all 12 bottles long. Those 8 rows over there are 13 bottles long, but each one of these rows is 12 bottles. This is an incomplete case of 8 bottles. There's 4 bottles here, but we ran out of whiskey for this batch to be to finish the case, and I didn't. I mean, I could fill 4 bottles. But what I'm going to do instead is the distributor's going to take 20. This is case 21 plus 8. So the distributor's going to take 20 bottles tomorrow, or 20 cases tomorrow. So I'm going to use that case and 8 as a starting point for my next run, because that's the second half of batch 2 This is all batch number 2. This is the second half of batch 2 that's going out the door. Batch 3 is going to be the first batch with the new label. So if I were doing it right, those 8 bottles would be right here. But I wrote every one of my rows is 12 bottles so that I can keep track of how much I've made and how much I've done and how far I have left to go. And I know it drives people crazy when they see it, but only if you don't know the reason behind it. And so when I did my last batch of Boomtown, I had 12 rows. I had 14 rows and then 2 more rows. So I had 14 groups of 12 and then two more rows. So every row had 14 bottles except for the last 2. And it was like, it looked like this, right? At the end of it, it looked like that. And my brother came in and he looked at it. And my brother's the same way as me. He sees an unfinished row, the same way as you. He sees an unfinished row and he's like, what the hell? What is this? I'm like, no. I'm not 4 short. Here's what's happening. Here's what's happening. Each one of these rows is 12. And then I have 2 more rows of 12 right here. He's like, oh, I hate it. I'm like, yeah, I know. I would hate it too if I didn't know what was going on. But this is unsightly. I agree with you. It is unsightly. I don't like it, but it is what it is. Just try not to think about it. Bimbo Barbarella's in the house. Cheers, Bimbo Barbarella. And it is a lot of whiskey, and it is delicious. And actually, later this week, I've got the equipment in my van. Later this week, I'm going to break out the heavy equipment. And either this week or next week, I'll break out the heavy equipment and make more of my shot glass totes, my shotty totes. My bottle totes? I don't know what we're calling them. I don't know what to call those guys. My gear carriers. I guess I could show y'all what I'm talking about if y'all hadn't seen the pictures on my Facebooks and Instagrams. These guys right here. These things. So here's the tandem shot glass tote, and that's my ear. The single, the hip holster, and the tandem, the duo holster. So we got the single and the duo. And I'll be giving one of those away at the end of the month for our 2,000th subscriber special. Our 72-hour live stream extravaganza that I did with the first batch of Boomtown, batch 01, from the end of January, was relatively successful. We got a whole bunch of watch time out of it, which was the goal. That was the stated goal, to get watch time. Not a whole lot of new subs, and that's fine. I wasn't really going for new subscribers. That was weird. Got something bound up in there. The label didn't come off properly. There we go. All right, last two cases. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, these two bottles are the 12, right? Okay. So yeah, these last 8 rows had 13 bottles in them. But you didn't know that, did you, Whiskey Wars? That's why there's 10 here and 2 full rows here, because these 2 full rows are 13. Come on. Nice. All right. Now we're moving. Everything is beautiful. Everything is awesome. But yeah, a year and a couple of weeks, almost a month now. February 14th last year. It's really cool. I've been going back and watching old videos from the last 2 or 3 years that we produced. Seeing how many subscribers we had a year ago in our old happy hours when we had 500 subscribers, 600 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers. Seeing the growth of subscribers on our live streams over the course of the last year, as I did our 100K views challenge over the course of the year. We're closing in on 1 million views, by the way. We're not quite there yet, but we're closing in on 1 million views to the channel. Can you believe that? 776 was the last number I saw on our analytics page. And we had 40,000 views in February of 2022. We went from 40,000 to closing in on 1 million now in a year, which is pretty fucking cool. But here's the lesson that I've learned. I'm getting a lot of views and subs from the shorts feed, but they're not crossing over in large numbers to the homepage yet. My views on my longer form videos, the 3 to 5 minute videos, they've gone up tenfold from where they were prior to the project. Prior to the project, I was getting like 10 or 11 views, if any, on my videos. Which sucks. You put effort into a video, even if it's a little bit of effort. You put effort into a video and you get 10 views and it just sucks and it exhausts you and you don't want to do it anymore. But you put effort into a video and you get 150 views, that's kind of cool. It's not great, but it's kind of cool. I'll take it, I guess. I would rather get more, obviously. But I'm seeing, when I do post up a longer form video, I'm seeing the progress. I'm seeing the growth in views. And I'm seeing what kind of topics get traction for my particular genre of channel, being a whiskey distiller that I am. Well, hello, Barbarella. Thanks for popping. I'm very close to 2K. I'm at 1820 and change. Let me look and see on my analytics page. I'm at exactly 1820 right now. And if I look at lifetime views, I am at 769. It's not 772. I was wrong. But yeah, I mean, things are going in the right direction. But the same thing that I observed when it came to shorts last year is the same thing that is holding true a year after my experiments began I started posting shorts as a strategy for growth in probably April of last year. So the subscribers really took off when I started posting a regular diet of shorts. But I said back in March, when I was talking about using shorts as part of a strategy, that it's like little sugar pills. You know, it's like little sugar pills for your subscriber base. You'll get a lot of subs out of it. You get a little boost of subs, but if they don't cross over, you're not going to get a lot of the watch time. And what I've noticed is I'm getting some crossover. I'm definitely getting some crossover. I'm getting more. I'm not getting a lot of crossover into our live streams, but our longer form posts, the 2 to 5 minute posts, are getting more traction. They are getting more impressions. They are getting more views. They are getting more traction. And I'm getting more watch time out of those videos. So my bread and butter right now still seems to be long form live shows. That's where I get most of my views and watch time, if only because it's a 6-hour show or a 6-hour video or whatever. So, you know, you get 3 people come in, they hang out for 20 minutes at a time. Over the course of the show, you know, 25 total people over the course of the show, 30 to 45 minutes each. That's, 15 hours of watch time, whatever it is. It's fine. That's good for a day. That does the trick for the day. That gets me my hours for the day. But if you need to get 400 hours a month, 335 hours a month, I think is the number. 335 hours a month. You can't do a live show every day for 6 hours a day and have a job, work. I can't. It's not sustainable. I can't do that. So ultimately, I've got to figure out a posting schedule where I can get 3 or 4 videos a month, 600 to 1,000 views per video that are 5 minutes long, and get people to hang out for at least half the video. And then you do that math. That's the bare minimum for monetization there. And then that means once a year I'll get a check for $5. Ow. Shit. That hurt. All right. Labeling's done. Get over here. I'm coming over here to get my microphone, which will hopefully plug directly into my computer. Sit right here. It'll sound like I'm on the other side of the room. But now it is time for me to start labeling bottles. And I'm going to do this because all right. See if this test. Well, I think he's picking up on the computer. Which fucking microphone is being picked up? Not this one. This one needs to go plug back into the wall. How's that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what is picking up sound. Something's picking up sound. Something is definitely picking up sound. And when I walk off, y'all can't hear anything that I'm saying. But when I move closer, you can definitely hear what I'm saying. So here you can hear me. Here you can hear me. What? Okay, let me check my phone. See what is going on. How is audio? It looks like it's good. It's definitely not this one. But whatever. I mean, I can make sure it is that one. Let's do this. I'll take this here. Take my soundboard. What the fuck is this? You go over here. Go away. Take you, plug you in here. Take you, plug you in here. Mic 1, turn it on. All right. Switch in the microphone. All right, it's definitely this microphone now. Okay. We are definitely new now. New microphone. I'm going to fix this camera real quick because it looks silly. Angle it down to right there. That's where I'll be. All right. Boy. Okay. So what we're doing now is the last step of the process. Make sure I've got my ink pen working proper. It appears to be working proper. All right. So this is where we go. 6 months aged. Barrel size is 5 gallons. And batch number is 042302. There it is. Every bottle hand notated by the guy who made the whiskey. Piece of cake. 6 months aged, 5-gallon barrel. 042302. Oops. I do need to check something over here on the telecommunications box real quick. Don't mind me. Don't mind me just watching. Ooh, twerk, 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 twerk. You like that? Such a doughy fat guy. How's that? No, not my guy. Not my guy. All right. Back to the. See, I'm still at work, so I gotta check my emails. Who's here? Oh, Sunflowers is here. Cheers, son. Son. Performer impersonation that I know how to do. That is Jerry Reed, also known as Iceman from the what is the oldest aging stuff that we're currently doing? Our blackout bourbon is currently still aging. Put it back in the barrels. It's still in the barrels. It'll be coming out in another couple of months, but it's in the 5-gallon barrels. So even the oldest stuff that we have is under a year, but it's under a year in 5-gallon barrels. So, you know, we do things in 5-gallon barrels because we can't wait. We can't wait forever. We simply can't wait. We can't wait 7 years. Just like Grant was saying earlier, we have to get our stuff out, but we use the smaller barrels in order to two, not 01, in order to approximate longer aging flavor on our whiskeys. 6, 5, G, 4, 2, 3, 2. Yeah. They're so far on the other side of the table. I did see the email in my inbox there, Whiskey Wars. Cheers, Sunflowers. Welcome to the party. We are finishing the bottling process for a second full batch of legendary Boomtown Bourbon from 2023. 6-month shade, 5-gallon barrel. I've talked about the Cannonball Run. I've talked about road trips. Yesterday, I talked about corporatism and trust busting and monopolism and how it affects small operators like me. At some point, I'll talk about personal responsibility and taking ownership of your actions, but not today. I did talk about calling Ted Cruz's office today because I had to ask his phone operator if the senator was going to make a revised statement about his involvement in the attempted coup. Now that everybody's admitted that they knew that election fraud was a lie, you know, will he come out and admit the same thing, or will he have to be deposed in order to make that admission? Because certainly he doesn't want us to all think he was stupid and be the only person who was duped. But I'm sure he'll have some narrow explanation. All he was really concerned about was in Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania, where they didn't follow their own rules. You know, because that's the senator from Texas's job to worry about that. The people from Pennsylvania didn't have a problem with it. I would like to do another happy hour on ancient civilizations. Maybe do a short video on ancient civilizations, because the stupid Graham Hancock video has popped into my feed on Netflix. And Joe Rogan, I keep seeing commentary from him, like it's obvious that there had to have been some ancient civilization that was more advanced than us. Like, no, it's not. It's not obvious at all. That's the least obvious thing. We put a person on the moon. You telling me there was some advanced civilization before Egypt that put someone on the fucking moon? Well, they had advanced technologies to went a different direction than us. We went with electricity and steam, and they went a different direction entirely. What, magic? Fucking idiot. And that's not fair. He's not an idiot. He seems to be a fairly smart guy. He's very inquisitive by nature, it seems. But the problem with being very inquisitive without critical thinking is that any dumb nonsense can fall into your brain. And you're like, yeah, this is perfectly acceptable. Like, no, it's not. Like, no, it's not. Well, different kinds of advanced, maybe, but that even if there was some organized civilization prior to known civilization, you know, people have been around for 200 something thousand years. Homo sapiens have been around for 25 something thousand years. It's perfectly reasonable that it took 20,000 years for us to figure out the first basic stuff. Like, technology speeds up. Development of technology speeds up as things get discovered and things get developed. They would still leave footprints. There would be indications. They didn't use metal because they didn't use metal machines to build the pyramids, because a big machine like that would not have just vanished, right? Like, even small metal things stick around for thousands of years. Even small metal things. We're talking giant machines to lift giant rocks. Like, those wouldn't just disappear. So they weren't more advanced than us because they didn't know how to use metal. They'd have left footprints, is what I'm saying. There'd have been fingerprints, something along the way. So it's not at all the most obvious thing. It's like, just because we don't understand everything doesn't mean that just anything can be possible. We understand enough that we can, like, form a framework. And if it falls outside of that framework, we need to be able to redefine the framework. And just saying, oh, well, there was some other ancient civilization. Well, how on earth was there another ancient that just got wiped out and completely lost? Like, that doesn't happen. Even relatively modern civilizations that got completely wiped out and lost, like during the Bronze Age collapse. Like, we have evidence that those civilizations existed. The Phoenician, the boat people that just vanished in the Bronze Age collapse. We have evidence that these people existed before they vanished. I think it's much more likely that when you have a lot of people and a lot of time, you can do a lot of things with very basic technology. When you have a lot of people and a lot of time, you can do a lot of things with very basic technology. And it's entire. I'm fully willing to accept that there was some lost civilization prior to, prior to our timeline of civilization. Our timeline of civilization is something like 6,000, 8,000 years. I think the first civilizations were 6,000 BC, something like that. When the civilization being defined as agriculture, the first cities, the first agriculture, the first civil societies. I'm perfectly willing to accept that. Mankind was in the Americas 25,000 years ago. It's entirely It's entirely possible, but that doesn't make them more advanced. That doesn't make them even more advanced than the Egyptians. And I agree with you. This is. I'll leave the whiskey talk to people who don't make whiskey. This is the type of shit that I do on my live shows at night. This is what we talk about at happy hour. My happy hours are intended to be work, Brita. My happy hours are intended to be what you would talk about at a bar during happy hour. That's what my happy hours are intended to be. Not whiskey talk. I mean, you don't sit at a bar and talk about whiskey during happy hour. Oh, shit, I made this one 03. This is 02. You sit and talk about sex and politics and movies and shit like that. You talk about Ukraine. You talk about superpowers. You talk about global annihilation. You talk about this shit during happy hours. At least, that's what we used to do before the pandemic. I don't know what people do during the pandemic now. Or, I know what they did during the pandemic. They did nothing. But I don't have a problem with controversial topics during happy hours. That's what people talk about. We don't want to talk about politics. Why not? Fucking talk about politics. Talk about the Second Amendment. Talk about gun laws. Talk about all the stuff. That's what people do. If you can't talk about it, like, what the fuck's wrong with you if you can't talk about it? You can entertain ideas in your brain, right? I mean, when we were talking, I don't know what we were talking about the other day. Oh, Waco. That was one that I wanted to tackle. I wanted to get the writer of that book on the show, but his publicist was like, I don't think he wants to do your show. Like, he's the one who told me to contact you, you bitch. But yeah, we have 50 or so people on our lives, 15 to 20, 50 to 100 people watch the show. It was small potatoes for him, too small potatoes for him. He wasn't interested, or his publicist wasn't interested. So I'll read his book and we'll talk about his book without him. Fuck him. Or fuck them. Not him. He's a nice guy, it seems. But I've seen the series on Netflix. I'd like to read the book again before I do the show. But I also try to avoid debates of controversial topics because people don't tend to debate controversial topics because they don't know what they're talking about most of the time. I prefer to discuss controversial topics, which is not a debate, it's just a discussion. We're not trying to change mind, we're just trying to focus on facts and talk about facts and stuff like that.
So anyway, where are we at? What a hell of a shitstorm. Understand nature does to. I think we underestimate what nature does to human tech on these time frames. We're talking about 12,000 years ago. Oh, it's absolutely a lot of time for things to decay. But big things, big things, don't decay like that. They get buried, they get lost, they don't decay like that. And also, we're talking 12,000 years ago. There had to be like a couple thousand year run up, 1,000 year run up to develop the technology. It took us 7,000 years to figure out how to use steam. It took us 6,000 years to learn how to apply science in a regimented, in an organized way. So let's say they were smarter than us to start with, okay? Let's say they were smarter than us to start with. They would have had to go from the first people, the trees, to the savannah, to undetectable cities today, cities that we cannot detect, that have been completely wiped out from history. In 6,000, 7,000 years. So they would have had to, because if it's a civilization from 12,000 years ago, right? It got wiped out by the Younger Dryas ice event, whatever the fuck they're talking about. The Younger Dryas event happening something like 10,000 years ago. So the civilization flourished. Mankind has only been around for like 25,000 years, right? So the Younger Dryas happening 10,000 years ago, that means 15,000 years to go from out of the trees to developing agriculture to building cities that are undetectable to mankind today, to using technology that we don't understand today in less than the amount of time that it took for us to develop steam energy. Less than the amount of time that it took for us to build rockets to fly to the moon. That is fan fiction at best. It is more likely that it was some nomadic tribe of people that found a central gathering place for several different nomadic tribes and built some kind of settlement, trading post, whatever. And we found glimpses of that out in Asia, whatever that is, Nagorno-Karabakh, whatever it's called. Nagorno-Karabakh, that's not what it's called. It is more likely that the pyramids were built using a lot of people and a lot of time. Something that they had in large quantities back then. Lots of people, lots of time. They didn't have anything else to do. They didn't have Netflix. They didn't have TV. They didn't have plays. They didn't have anything. What are they going to do? Fucking build a pyramid. I've done it on, hell, I don't know if a kid, well, I don't know about kids these days, but I know when I was a kid, we didn't have TV, we didn't have video games, we didn't have all this shit. We would go outside and just build forts in the woods. We didn't have anything else to do. Go out to the woods with your friends and a hatchet and a machete and a bow saw. And cut down some trees and build a little fort. That's what we would do. That's what we did on spring break. We'd go down and play in the here in Texas, at Houston. We have drainage ditches, big giant bayous, which is basically it's a little river. It's a runoff river for the back of your neighborhood. The water's mostly clean, but I wouldn't drink it. We would go down there and build sandcastles and dams. We dam up the water, and that was just for like 4 kids. Build a dam that spanned across like a 12-foot section of it'd be like 6 feet deep and 12 feet wide. These are just 4 kids. Think of what you could do with $250,000 or 25,000 that you could just replace when they die. Anyway, what are we talking about? And yeah, I talk whiskey on my show every once in a while. I've talked whiskey basically 2 years ago. I love it. There's more interesting. Yeah, I talk whiskey on the show every once in a while. I'll grab like Japanese whiskey. Uh, I'll do a tasting of something weird and unusual. I leave the tasting of Kentucky schlock to you fine folks out there. Uh, the mainline industrial whiskeys, I leave that to y'all. Buffalo Trace, Jim Beam, Centauri, all that stuff. I go find, like when we do our road trips, I'll go find stuff that like you don't find at Specs or Total Wine where you're at, or Specs where we're at. I'll let other people chase down Blanton's. I'll go find a Vonak. You can get Buffalo Trace. I'll go find 12 Oaks out of Lufkin. That's what I'll do. I'll find the unusual stuff that nobody else can find. Left Turn Distillery out of Albuquerque. That's my jam. But meanwhile, our topical discussion, it's like a baseball player talking baseball in his spare time. I'm sure they love to talk shop. I'm sure they love to talk about work stuff at home, but I don't want to talk about work when I get home. Speaking of which, my wife texted me. I need to text her back before I get in trouble. Lebeki Tepe. That's what I'm thinking of. That's and those they're big. That's the one. That's exactly what I'm thinking of. Lebeki Tepe out there in the East Asia, whatever. They're big. It's an impressive structure, no question. But it's more likely that it was a. I gotta take a picture and send this to my wife. She's like, "What you doing?" Working. I mean, to be fair, I haven't seen all the pictures and stuff like that, but it is perfectly reasonable that over the course of 50 years, there was a group that stayed behind and built this marketplace, built the megalith, built a central worship place, whatever you want to call it. Built a camp, a central camp for all the various nomadic tribes to come together and swap stories, swap wives, swap religious trinkets, whatever the hell it is that you swap at these things. I mean, look at Sturgis, for crying out loud, right? A whole city that exists so that a bunch of bikers can show up for a week every year. Whole city that exists just for that. Yeah, I mean the population of that town most of the year is like 700, but for a week it's like 150,000. And we have evidence of things like that happening in the Americas, where there were nomadic people that would come together into a central trading space. And people would stay behind and maintain the home, or maintain the home base, and then people would come back and visit and leave and come back and visit. At least I think we have evidence of that happening in the Americas. I think that's kind of how Mayan civilization grew up over time. It started off as a bunch of loose, not confederations, but loose settlements, and they kind of came together in this central place periodically until the Chichen Itza, I think it was, or whatever it is. I don't remember what the central hub of Mayan culture was. And the Mayans didn't have draft animals. The American civilizations, they didn't have draft animals. They did all this shit with putting their stuff on their back. They didn't have livestock. They didn't have the wheel. I mean, if our American indigenous peoples, our American Indians, can do it without the wheel, certainly Asian tribes could do that without, carving stones and whatnot. In fact, I think the American tribes is a really good example of what an East Asian civilization from 10,000 years ago would be like. Pre-wheel, pre-horse, pre-draft animal, or early horse, early draft, early wheel. I think it's perfectly real. I mean, that's one of the reasons why American civilizations were so easily captured by European civilizations, because we didn't have, over here in the Americas, we didn't have domesticated livestock. So because we didn't have domesticated livestock, we didn't have the diseases that came from domesticated livestock, that would swap back and forth between animals, like smallpox, like monkeypox, like cowpox, like swine flu, duck fever, whatever the fucking diseases there were. They didn't have them in the Americas because they didn't sleep with pigs. But that's also why they didn't have the wheel, because they didn't have anything to connect carts to. They didn't have the wheel in the Americas? No, they did not have the wheel in the Americas. And if the Mayans can build, and the Aztecs can build, and the Incas can build without a wheel, draft animals, they can build those giant megalithic structures, there's giant cities, the giant pyramids. If they can do that in the Americas, well, they could do it in Africa, they could do it in Asia. They could do it in Salisbury, England. They certainly wouldn't be more advanced. We have cell phones. I'm talking to you on the internet. You're 1,000 miles away from me right now. they they couldn't even write things down to give to the next person who walked into the room. More advanced. Yeah, no. Um, Not so much the desire it's what it would take to move a 20. Oh, yeah. That's what's fascinating to me. Like, we sell these people short. Like, it takes a tremendous amount of work, energy, and organization to do this stuff. I mean, I think about supply chains, modern day supply chains, what it takes to do something like McDonald's. How many cows are required to supply a McDonald's for a week? Just one McDonald's, you know, if or a Chick-fil-A, for example. How many chickens are required to supply one single Chick-fil-A? You know, each one of their sandwiches is one single breast, so two sandwiches is one bird. If a single Chick-fil-A, I think my son works at Chick-fil-A. I think he said they do like 200 meals a day, 200 orders a day on like a weekday. So that's in 6 days. That's 1,200. Let's call it 1,500 because they have some busy days. Let's call it 1,500 in a week. 1,500 sandwiches in a week. That's 750 chickens every single week for every single Chick-fil-A. 750 chickens every week for every Chick-fil-A. And it takes 3 months for a bird to be mature enough to slaughter and harvest. So 3 months ago, you needed to have 750 birds hatch. Probably close to 800 because you lose some, right? For one store, for 1 week. And there's what, 100 Chick-fil-A's? So 750 times 100 is 75,000. Call it 80,000 because you need about 800 birds every single week. $80,000 birds every single week. That's 320,000 birds a month. And that's not even talking about the potatoes, oil, um, I mean, that's industrial society on a scale that we appreciate today is unfathomable. Like, you couldn't do this in 1902. You couldn't do this 100 years ago. We did not have the ability 100 years ago to have McDonald's. The supply chain had to be invented in order to make McDonald's possible. And McDonald's invented the supply chain in order to make McDonald's possible. Just simply McDonald's making the decision to do apples in their Happy Meals changed the math on how farms were going to produce apples and get them to harvest them, get them to market, and get them sold. It's insane. It's mind blowing. Hey, Jimmy's random content. Cheers, brother. What's going on? 20 feet high on another 20-ton rock. Yeah. Well, Well, you know, and that's just the thing. The tech involved to do it is just a whole lot of people, a whole lot of man. The same way with our logistics and our supply chain. The tech involved to do it, like in the 1960s when this stuff was being put together and invented, it was just a whole lot of manpower, a whole lot of doing it. That's also how we got the baby boomers in the 1940s. A whole lot of doing it. You know, I mean, it's a what I teach the kids that I tutor in math is problem solving is just one step at a time. You find a problem, you solve the problem, and it creates new problems. The solution creates new problems. And then you go solve those problems. And then you solve the next set of problems, and the next set of problems, and the next set of problems. I mean, there's a whole lot of solutions that we had here in the States 40 years ago that created a bunch of problems that we just decided we weren't going to solve those problems. And we coasted. And now we have, you know, a whole set of problems that were a result of the solutions that have festered for 40 years. One example is our highways and infrastructure. We had in place a tax paradigm to take care of that. And instead of maintaining that tax paradigm and solutions to maintain that infrastructure, we cut taxes for 40 years. So instead of feasting on the benefits of the infrastructure, we cut taxes and starved ourselves of the income of that infrastructure. So now when it comes time to replace that infrastructure, instead of continuously building it and continuously building it, making it better and better and better and better, we're stuck with 40-year-old infrastructure that sucks. And a patchwork of nonsense. And all of a sudden we have a big fat tax bill that we got to come up with that we should have just had in reserve, but we didn't do that. Because that would have been helpful. Did I make this one 03? I did. Oh, goodness. I wonder how many of these I misnumbered. Because I'm numbering them all 04, 23, 02, but I just misnumbered that one 04, 23, 03. So I'm wondering how many I've misnumbered. Yeah. Well, cheers, Whiskey Wars. Go eat. But yeah, I'm almost certainly going to do another Ancient Civilizations. I'm going to watch that stupid documentary, the fake documentary, because it's not a real documentary. And we'll talk another. But you know, we don't consider our logistics to be a megalithic construction, but it is absolutely a megalithic construction. You know, we are the path that a T-shirt takes to get made. A T-shirt like this goes from Egypt to South America to India to the United States, back to Europe, back to the United States. It's a T-shirt from cotton to store can travel 15,000 miles. And it costs us $12 for 6 shirts. That's insane. That is crazy. Although a lot of these supply chains are shrinking, we've learned our lesson. The pandemic taught us a very expensive lesson. lesson with China right now, because China still hasn't fully opened up their factories. I'm going to switch out. I'm about halfway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got a little bit more to go to get halfway. But yeah, I don't shy away from controversial topics on our live shows. I would love to get into the Waco Branch Davidians. And the ruinous effect that it had on our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The ruinous effect that it had on our gun laws. I mean, Waco is why we don't have a full-time ATF, or we didn't have a full-time ATF director until this year, or this administration. And I'm still not 100% sure we have a full-time ATF director. But I also realize that YouTube is a place where a lot of people hang out who like to call themselves Second Amendment absolute, Second Amendment purists, but they're not really. Because not a single Second Amendment purist would advocate a blind guy having a gun or a toddler having a gun. If they're being honest. But there's a whole lot of people that call themselves Second Amendment purists who aren't honest. They're just not honest. Because they're the people that would say, you know, mental health is a problem. And then you say, well, would you want somebody with a mental health problem to have a gun? Like, no. Okay. Well, then you're not a Second Amendment absolutist. And there you go. It's real easy to, if they're being honest, which is also not something that happens very often. I really do think it takes longer to do this than it does to actually label them. But I also talk with my hands. And if I'm talking with my hands, I can't be signing bottles. These labels are the last labels that I had printed, the last of the labels that I had printed back in 2015 when we started when we opened up the distillery in Humble. So I'm going to concentrate on the bottles. Y'all pop into chat, say hi. I'm watching chat over here on my phone. So if y'all want to talk about a particular topic, bring something up. You got a question about the whiskey, ask me. I'll answer anything. I will answer anything. We've talked about road trips, Cannonball Run, supply chain logistics, Waco, and the Branch Davidians. Let's see here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We are halfway through. In fact, you can see 8, 8, 2, 2, 4 more. And those 4 actually represent 1, 2, 3, 4 of these 8. Very cool. So tomorrow morning, I have to go get labels for my boxes. Which is just a run down to my print shop, which happens to be Home Depot. I'm sorry, Office Depot. Because their printers do better work. Their laser printers do better work than my inkjet printer. And I've got to print 20 box labels. 40 box labels. So that's the next step in the process. I'll take the box, I'll build the boxes. I put the boxes together. My boxes do not come pre-assembled. I put the boxes together, put the insets in the boxes. Put the labels on the boxes. And then put the whiskey in the box and seal it up. By then, it should be time for lunch. I'll go eat. And then I go eat and then come back for delivery. And then I slip out to my tutoring gig. So no Fortnite for me tomorrow. I have a very busy day. How are we doing on the camera? Even work? Yeah, there we go. So history behind the Hometown Bourbon. Hometown Bourbon was the first bourbon that we produced. It is a tri-grain style, or tri-grain Kentucky style. Sorry, tri-grain traditional style whiskey. which is to say, mostly corn, malted barley, and rye. But we overweight the corn to give it a little sweeter taste. And we age it 6 months in 5-gallon barrels to give it a uniquely Texas flavor. This was first released back in 2014. And this is the first bourbon we've released from this facility using our captured rainwater. Second batch, or the second release from batch 4. From the year 2023. (2023), the year of our Lord. There we go. I hate these clear labels so much. Truly, truly do. Okay. I've got just a few cases to do. I'm not going to keep moving the microphone, so my apologies. If it gets quieter. While I move further away from the microphone. It's troublesome. So I smudge of blue paint on the desktop here. So I had to fix it. Had to fix it. Yeah, there we go. All right. Home stretch, boys. Just to show you what it is that I'm doing over here. Yeah. I'm labeling each one of these bottles, showing 6 months, 5-gallon barrel, 04, 23, 02 is the batch identifier for these bottles. Bottle, hand labeled, hand signed by yours truly. A little personal touch for each bottle. And one of these bottles will be given away at the end of the month when we do our 2,000 subscriber special and giveaway. So that's exciting. Do a show on music. How the music industry changed in the mid-90s. It's not your imagination. Music really is worse today than it was back then. Can't believe this is only the 4th batch of bourbon we've ever produced. That's true. 2014, 2016. In 2023. Mislabeled this one. Mislabeled this one. If you find a mislabeled one, hold on to it because it's be worth money someday, I'm sure. I don't know. You won't know that it's mislabeled, but I'll know it's mislabeled because I can taste it and see the difference. So, like, that's not batch number one. That tastes like batch number two. Tap, tap. You still hear me, boys? We good? Yep. Boom. Boost. Boost it. All right. Rocking and rolling. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do for this week's happy hour. I'm going to go ahead and watch that stupid documentary. See, we did a flat Earth happy hour too, or at least we talked about why we know the Earth is round. We didn't talk about why the Earth is flat. We talked about how we know the Earth is round. You know, the everyday observations that confirm what it is that we know about Earth. Everyday observations that you can make. That's what's cool about it. They're everyday observations that you can make on your own outside during the day, during the night. Mosquitoes. That's one of the drawbacks of being out here in the wilderness. Mosquitoes suck. They're absolutely dreadful, especially this time of year. So we don't have the mosquito trucks that go through like they do in the neighborhoods. And in fact, because they go through the neighborhoods, the mosquitoes get a little bit more concentrated out here. which sucks on fire. I don't even know what that means. But you can imagine it's probably bad. I like these paint pens. They're really good. Perfect multiple of 13? I did have a perfect multiple of 13. Huh. It was 260. Yeah. A perfect multiple of 13 is 260. I'll be damned. I had an odd row of 8, but I could have had even rows of 13. Of course, 13 bottles doesn't mean anything to me because 12 is a case. See, it just shows you blind spot problems there. I had even rows, but I didn't because 13 isn't a number to me here in the distillery context. But I have 20 rows of 13, and this entire row down here at the bottom is 12 plus 8. Which is what's staying here at the distillery. 12 plus 8 bottles. Ah, my nose itches. All right, last row. Woo! Yep. Last 6. 2, 4, 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. There we go. Done. Take a picture, post it to the grams. That'll post later tonight. All right, guys. We're going to call it a night. Go over here. I look ridiculous. Look at me. Me and my short pant cut off. They're not cut off. They're rolled up. Whatchamacallit. Looks like I lost a sub. Oh, well. No worries. I'm not going to sweat it. We're at like 1819, 1820, somewhere in that neighborhood. We've been bouncing back and forth the last day or so. Where is it right now? 1819, I'm guessing? Yeah. Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. Okay, so whiskey's in the books or in the crates. We box this up tomorrow. I'm not going to go live tomorrow morning. It's gonna be me taping boxes and doing stuff, and I'm going to be running around in the morning doing all kinds of stuff. May go live. Well, let's see. Tomorrow night is Tuesday night. I'll be live Wednesday night. We'll be live Wednesday night with another Old Humble happy hour. I don't know what we'll talk about yet, but we'll talk about something. We got something going on Wednesday night. Maybe it'll be ancient civilizations. Maybe we'll talk about Waco. I haven't read the book yet, so we won't talk about Waco. Maybe we'll talk about I don't know, something. We'll find out. We'll find something to talk about. We'll see. Anyway, I ain't got my drink. I ain't got a shot to shoot. Oh, I'll drink some water. We'll do that. Continue to be awesome to each other. Continue to be awesome to each other. Cheers. Until next time, I will remain the Old Humble guy. Cheers and good night. Ugh. Oof. Ow. Crunch.